Now, time now to add a fifth woman to our lineup this lunchtime. She is feisty, opinionated, and she certainly doesn't hold back. She should fit right in around here. A very warm welcome to the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood. Delighted to have you with us, and thank you for your time today. I know it's a bit of a rush for you to get here from Cabinet this morning. We were talking about this on the show yesterday, and this is the new tech policy that Sir Keir Starmer announced yesterday. So this is going to be a legal ban on children being able to access or to send naked photographs. And Sir Keir Starmer said the big tech companies will be given, 3 months, I believe, to put things in place, introduce device controls. Is it going to work? Because we discussed this yesterday about kids are very clever at getting around tech, more so than adults and their parents particularly.
This will work. It already exists. This tech is already on your phones. If you have an Apple phone or a Google phone, they already know how to block nude images, and they also already know how to age verify you, so how to establish whether you're 18 and over. And so all we're doing is saying to the tech companies, you actually know how to do this. What we want you to do is make sure that the default setting on every phone is that it will block nude images, so you can't take them, you can't share them, and you can't view them.
Because there is evidence that young children are actually sending the photographs, not just seeing them.
It's horrifying evidence, actually. I mean, I know of one case where a young girl was responsible for 80,000 pictures of herself on her phone because she was being extorted by criminals. She made the mistake of taking one picture and then that was used against her, and in the end she had self-generated, made pictures of herself, and there were 80,000 of those on her phone. It's like a horrifying problem, but it's an easy fix, because if the default setting on every phone is it will just block a nude image unless or until you show the phone you're over 18. The companies know how to do that, so, you know, adults can have all the freedom they want. They can unblock that phone quite quickly, but if you're a child, it will age verify you, it will know you're under 18, and it
what will happen
blocking.
if the tech companies don't do that? So you say you're going to make this a legal requirement.
So we've given them 3 months because the tech is already there and because they're using it in other ways, so we know that they can do this like tomorrow if they wanted to. We've given them 3 months. If they don't act, we'll just regulate. So we'll pass a law that forces tech companies to have that as the default setting and to block nude images until age verification happens on the phone. Obviously, legislation takes time, right? Yes. So once we're in the space of legislating, which we will do if they don't act, it will just take longer. But because we know they could do it today, if they wanted to, we've set them this challenge and we've given them longer. We've given them 3 months.
Well,
I think we're being reasonable.
A long time if they can do it today.
I think we're being reasonable to say change your practices, change the default settings on a phone. So this way, parents don't have to worry about apps. So you're not doing it app by app by app. Your kids will get around you if it's done at app level. It just means that factory setting on the phone doesn't let any nude image. It literally blocks it, and that makes it much better.
Home Secretary, I applaud what you're doing, but I come back to you with this question. Parents, thousands, hundreds of thousands of parents have said smartphones are ruining our children's lives, that we can't control what they're watching. You're making the first step. But take school, for example. Why not issue a ban banning phones in all schools? Why not say smartphones can't be sold to anyone under 16? Why not treat a smartphone, which is, as Brenda said yesterday, like a computer in your hand, like a car? So we're very worried about what age kids can learn to drive and when they can pass their tests. Why not treat smartphones the same way and just say, you need a licence, you need to be 16 to own a phone like this?
Well, look, I think it's a fair question, because the thing is the advent of the smartphone has reshaped everyone's lives, right? Not just children's, but everyone's. And the internet has redefined what childhood looks like. So I think there is a bigger societal question around what children access and, you know, what is the social inheritance we pass from one generation to the next. That's really important. The thing about the phone is, unlike a car, the phones have become more integral to how parents, you know, maintain their children's safety, on location, on being able to track where your kids are.
But they can do it with an ordinary phone.
So functionality, obviously varies, and obviously smartphones offer more. I think what we're saying is, regardless of what happens in terms of broader phone usage, the government's obviously consulting on social media. As the Home Secretary, I know today there are criminals that are extorting children in our country, asking them for more and more pictures of themselves, and who then actually, some of those kids become online groomers themselves before they even know what sex is. So I think that for us as a society, and for me as Home Secretary, I've got to first act on the safety, and this would be on every device. So what you don't have is the sort of whack-a-mole problem of they'll get around it and then you have to keep going. So this is one of those where I think this is the first move in saying to phone companies,
would you consider
use
a
this
phone
tech.
ban?
Well, look, I think for schools and phone bans, obviously the Education Secretary has been very clear they shouldn't be used in schools. There is this consultation on social media. Expect to hear more from my other colleagues in government very soon, I promise.
Okay.
It's coming. Okay. But it will be on the broader societal questions
let's
of how
move.
society is being shaped.
Sorry to interrupt. Let's move, because we don't want to run out of time. Let's move on to something that you are responsible for, which, of course, is policing. And obviously, we all know about the terrible murder of Henry Nowak. Now, Reform leader Nigel Farage has said that policing has become, quote, two-tier, and he believes there's a bias against white people. What would you say to him or to anyone else who believes that?
Well, I would really caution any politician from trying to stoke division in our country and setting one community against another, setting the white majority against ethnic minorities. I think that's morally reprehensible, and I would call on him to reflect on his actions.
Do you think that's happening?
No, look, I think that the basic rule of policing must be, has been, and will always be, and certainly on my watch, that you police without fear or favour, that we are all equal before the law. One of the problems we've had with the police service are historic injustices around racism. We can all think of the Stephen Lawrence murder. Very recently, journalists went undercover at Charing Cross Police Station, discovered horrifying evidence of racist, misogynistic attitudes by police officers.
But then the police race action plan came in, and now a lot of people are saying the pendulum has swung too far the other way.
This is where the balance has to be struck. So the reason those things are problems isn't just because they're horrible in and of themselves, is because when you call the police and you're a black person, you don't want to think you're about to be treated badly because you're black, same as if you're white. So the police have to make sure that they've got the right balance between rooting out racism.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because Kerry Badenoch has said today that diversity training, the way that the police have had this diversity training, is causing division, and that it should be scrapped. That there's nothing wrong with the Equality Act, but the way that the police are being trained to deal with diversity issues is causing more division than it should do.
Yeah, and look, I think that the vast majority of cases, and the police run towards danger every single day, you won't see any evidence of anything other than fair treatment of everyone that they find. So I think it's important that we don't say we have a national breakdown in this service, but absolutely where there are problems and they're being exposed, we have to make sure that we act. And the most important thing for the police to do is to make sure they've got the right balance. So you don't course correct too far in one direction or then in the opposite direction.
But so much money has been spent on diversity training.
Look, I think for police forces, they have to make sure that they understand, for example, if you're a police officer in Golders Green, which has a large Jewish population, you know, there are certain patterns of life in a neighbourhood that has a large Jewish population. You should be aware of your surroundings. You should learn about the communities that you're trying to police so that you can build the solid relationships that mean you know how to be a good cop in that neighbourhood. Yeah. So I think that is a really important principle, and we shouldn't lose that. On the specifics of, you know, just the horrifying circumstances of what happened to Henry Nowak, that is being investigated, and I will make sure that those findings lead to wider lessons for the police as well.
Talk about horrifying incidents. Breaking just this morning, an incident in Belfast. Early hours of this morning, police were called. A brutal knife attack. Injured man is now in a very, very serious condition in hospital. What's your reaction to that? You know, again, it's knife crime, it's knives on our streets, it's brutal, you know, attack in front of people on the streets of Britain. And often then people protest, and then we have that situation again. What would you say to, particularly the people in Belfast today, about that situation?
Well, I mean, it's a horrifying knife attack. I know there's videos circulating on social media. You know, it makes makes for terrible viewing. And obviously the victim is receiving hospital treatment as we speak. The suspect has been apprehended, so is in the custody of the police.
Two very brave, actually, members of the public.
Yes,
who
exactly.
Jumped in to stop him.
You know, again, I really commend both the emergency services and the members of the public for acting so quickly and preventing an even worse tragedy. So let's wait until more of the facts are established. What I would say on background of offenders, we have a much more positive sort of policy on transparency. We make information available as quickly as we can, usually when there's a charge. So when we get to the position of charging somebody, we do release what we know about the background of an offender, because we know that transparency is really important to stop people fanning the flames of division. So as long as the facts are out there, people know what we're dealing with. And you know, to the broader community, all of these instances are horrifying. You know, I've had instances in my constituency of knife attacks, and they do cause a lot of community worry. What I would say to people is, of course, you have your freedoms under the law. Freedom of protest is a protected right in our law, but exercise it wisely. You know, there is a criminal justice response now that is needed. The police have already got the suspect. Let that play out. Let criminal justice take place.
So another big subject under your remit is immigration, obviously, in particular small boats. So I was reading an interview at the weekend. Young Eritrean man, he risked his life. He got in a boat. He came here. He has returned to France. And he says, I didn't want to waste my time getting addicted to drugs in a dangerous hotel. Most aren't genuine refugees. They just want the money you hand out. He said there was crack cocaine use. The Home Office didn't contact him for 7 months, and that he felt unsafe. Now, if he feels that way, do you understand why local communities living with these hotels also feel unsafe?
Yes, I do. I mean, I think that the move to using hotels in the way that they've been used in this country under the last government was a terrible move. I mean, they stopped processing casework and they just started.
But you've been
warehousing
for what,
people
nearly 2 years
in hotels,
now.
and hotel use has decreased, and it will decrease further. And we've said we will get out of all asylum hotels at least before the end of this Parliament. But I want to go faster than that. It's why we're opening up large military sites in order to house people whilst their claim is being assessed. We have got faster with asylum claim processing, and also actually just the way that we manage that estate, so trying to run them as safer environments, because we do know.
But what about
that
stopping the small boats, full stop, which is, of course, what Sir Keir Starmer pretty much promised when he first got in as Prime Minister? A lot of people watching this show will say, we pay millions to France, we have a deal, right? But when we intercept small boats in the Channel, so be it Border Force or RNLI or Navy or whatever, we bring them here. If we have a deal with France, why don't we deliver them back to France as a deterrent so they won't get in those boats in the first place? Who or what is it that is stopping you from doing that? Because I believe you do want to do that.
I absolutely do want to get to grips with this crisis, and I will do whatever it takes and whatever I can do to stop.
Well, I've just given you a suggestion. Why don't we do that?
The difficulty here is the point at which, in which bit of the water you're picking somebody up. When they get to the midline and they're in our waters,
take them back to the waters
that
they've just come
responsibility
from.
opens for us. You have to have an agreement.
Well, we have,
haven't
we? We've paid them millions, France.
Well, what we're paying for is law enforcement activity. It is working.
Well, they're not doing it.
No, it is working. I've seen it work myself. Look, I know this is a really difficult, terrible issue, and I know it makes people feel like the government's not in control. It costs a huge amount of public confidence. That's why I'm so determined to get it right, and I want to be able to prove to our country that the state can actually maintain border security.
One last question.
But there is a lot of good work going on in law enforcement in the north of France. It's why actually some of those dinghies are now trying to take off from Belgium, because some of that work in France is working.
One last question on immigration, because there's lots to talk about. The Public Accounts Committee has said that the Home Office has no idea how many failed asylum seekers have absconded, or indeed where they are. It's a shambles, isn't it?
Look, the whole system has been shambolic, bad data or no data being held all over the shop. I mean, since we've been in government, we have been doing the hard yards of trying to rebuild this system, not from scratch, but, I mean, it feels sometimes like you're building it back up from scratch. It is and has been a very poorly managed system. It is one of the biggest challenges that this government has, that I personally have, which is to sort this system out once and for all. It will take time. I wish I could wave one wand and make it right.
Wouldn't you rather have have the top job? Wouldn't you rather have the top job? Because there are only two powerful women in politics at the moment, yourself and Kemi Badenoch, and you both have mastered the art of speaking plainly, speaking directly, and speaking to voters in a way that they can connect with. So when you look at Keir Starmer, who's been accused of being vague and woolly...
Well, look, that's very nice of you to say so about me.
But it was reported that you wanted him to consider his position. Is that true?
I'm never going to comment on private conversations that I have with the Prime Minister. I think that
so you did have a private conversation.
I have discussions with him all the time. I'm never going to talk about what they are. Look, I'm the Home Secretary. He's my Prime Minister. I want him to succeed. You know, we've had a terrible set of results in the locals, and he has said he needs to do better.
So if he does consider his position, would you stand for leader?
The first rule of politics is you have to be able to count, and I don't know if you saw a recent poll of party members, but I got 1%. So I think I think that's me told.
I think basically, you know, I'm on the panel here, and they all laugh when there's a politician on because I go, ugh. Because I'm not politically aware like the rest of them are. I'm not a journalist, but I am a woman, you know, at home with a family. And I think from my friends, family and people I've spoken to in the street, what we want is to see something happening. You know, the economy is terrible, prices are rising, people are really struggling. And I listen to all these debates. I've been listening to you now. Why you want to do this, I'll never know. But anyway, we'll talk about that after. But anyway, the thing for me is that, you know, I listen to all these debates and then I go, I'm sick of the talking. I want to see something now, not, well, you know, coming up in the future. And I realise it's difficult to change, but I just feel we're not seeing anything. And I think to get the public back on your side, you've got to start delivering some of the promises that were made, because at the moment we all feel just done.
But look, every sentiment that you've described there is something I recognise from my own constituency, my own family. You know, people are frustrated. I totally get that people feel fed up. And also, in too many areas of our life, it feels like no one can do anything. You know, our laws aren't enforced. The police don't turn up for some types of crime. You know, I know that means people think, well, what's the point? And people give up.
Because we keep saying promises.
Yeah, and I do get that. But what I would say is we have started that work of delivery. It does take time for people to feel it in their communities, to see it on their high street. But just last week, I was with officers in Birmingham, and we were doing a raid on one of these 24-hour shops where we know all of your viewers will know lots of criminality is associated with certain kinds of shops on the high street, and we now have a dedicated unit that will be targeting those kind of businesses and making sure we bring people to justice.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you because we have run out of time.
Oh, no.
Home Secretary, thank you so much for your time today. I just want to say one thing. I know your mum's watching.
Yes, hello to my mum.
Hello to your mum.
And all my mum's friends, everyone.
Hello, mum's friends watching in Birmingham. Thank you very much indeed.